Good morning, everyone. Well, a little bit of a down morning, which I think is actually a good thing, rather than just a continuation run up. Should set up some buying opportunities as long as it doesn't retrace all the way back down to the low. But even if it does, then we just see how if buyers show up again like they did yesterday. And you can see the move down yesterday was pretty powerful on the way down, and just reinforcing what we do every day. Just look to the left and see where buyers were before, and then wait to see if they'll show up again. And lo and behold, they did. And in a bit of a surprising way. I mean, to just rip like that, I guess it's an hourly chart. So, and it just worked its way up there. But, you can see on the 15, it was pretty much a relentless move to the upside before the wide range bar formed. And that kind of a wide range bar, that one right there, after a run like that, historically ends the move. It doesn't predict a retracement of this length. It just says that the majorities, the Johnny come latelys that are just jumping on board, maybe shorts that just puked it at the last moment. I thought, hey, this thing's going to the moon. So you just, it just creates that wide range ending bar. And so then, it just drifted lower, overnight. And here we got a wide range bar, a wide range ending bar as it comes down to this area of support here. You can see, right there, that area of minor support. And it says a little lesson, as we always do them pre-market and in the green room. We call this a minor area of support, which through how we look at it, MTS, as we call it, Master Trader Technical Strategies, is a subjective reference point of support because it's beyond what's directly to the left. What's directly to the left is this fluid movement up that created a price void, and there's nothing to the left. However, on a lower time frame, you can see this little cluster right there where there was the reaction. If I can expand that a little bit to see a little bit better, there's typically some type of a minor reaction when it hits this level. You can't see it on a higher time frame, but most of the time it's there. And this is what we call a correction bar. We'll see if we can expand it a little more so you can see the whole deal there. It's a continuation bar, or what we call a correction bar. And that happened right at that resistance area inside. If I can line that up, kind of really can't on the hourly chart because it's in between those two bars. Right, that little area right here is in between those two bars, which was reacting to that resistance. Some sellers came in, but bought the dip. That's what we call a correction bar. It's a continuation pattern. That's an ending bar. And now what's happening is the next concept is that demand increasing in this area is beginning to create support where there is none. Right? So we got subjective support, which beyond directly to the left. And we've got the concept of creating support. And how is that viewed? Well, it forms a pivot, 3 higher low bars to the left and right. Once it's created that new support, retests of that support are viewed as buyable once we get a pattern like this. Now, this is all happening pre-market. Volume is lighter, but this is how we interpret it. And now what we would do is wait for this pattern here, or on the 5-minute choice, not a right or wrong. It's a choice time frame you're going to use. You get more detail on a smaller time frame. It could be a double-edged sword. It can get you in earlier. It could get you in before there's the final shakeout, right? But in any event, over here is where it should develop a pattern after this spike lower to retest the created support. It should jiggle around here and then attempt to move up. Now, it's well below this opening price over here. So we view patterns like what I've explained. That's one part of the analysis. Another part of the analysis is it above or below its opening price? What is the trend in multiple time frames? What's happening in relative strength and weakness and so on. So We had that big reversal day yesterday, came down to support, rallied back up to close on the high. Institutions came in and bought the dip at support, and they continued to buy it. And now we've got a resting day. Now, it's not that unusual, to have a big bar like this followed by a resting day. So while we're getting the beginnings of a creating of support, which could be a buy setup, it doesn't mean it's going to make new highs today. We have no idea. Right? We just look to see what is. We look at, hey, this is had a big day. Typically, big days are followed by resting days. And this could be just choppy within a range here. And that's all well and good. So, I mean, if this was the end of the day, it was looking just like this or a little different, and things gapped up tomorrow, that's the day once you get your 5-minute or 15-minute setup to press the accelerator, looking for this thing to go higher. So none of us know what's going to play up. We only know what is in the moment and what occurred in the past and how that relates to the moment. So right now we're just waiting, seeing if there's a scalper buy here, or does this thing just go right back down to the low, which I'm fine with. It would be unusual to have another day going back down there, but it should be a good buying opportunity for a scalper long. If this was to fail, and it hasn't triggered a buy yet, not even on a 5-minute, if this was to fail and come back down here, and we were to get a bottoming type of a pattern, I'm going to buy it. Now, it's not going back up to the high today if it comes back down here. Right? And I say that as if it's an absolute, you could bank on it. But that is historically the way things would play out if it was to retrace back there. We could get another bottoming tail bar, but it'd be highly unlikely to come back up there. But this market is full of surprises. So we'll just see how it plays out. Taking a look at, where's my SPY? Where's it? Dropping down here, 444, 444.50, 444.50. So it's a sizable gap down. And like I said, there's nothing to the left here, and why we look at pre-market charts, because we get, even though it's low volume, we can see where sellers have stepped up and where buyers have stepped up. And so we've got a breakdown to new lows and a reversal back up to this pivot high. So that is the start of a bottom. Now, bottoming patterns are treacherous. This could break the low and rip right back up again. This is just what bottoming patterns do. It may drop and keep going down. I talked about the futures. I see what this is. I recognize the breakdown failure, the depth of retracement back up here. It's pulling back to the pivot. Buyers should step up here again. For the moment, this bar has got, it's just beginning. You can see here, it's got just under 4 minutes to go. So there's plenty of time for this bar to expand in range and drop down below that, or turn into a green bar back up again. Now, if that did turn into a green bar back up again, based on everything else that I've explained, and you trade spiders or ES, buy it with a stop a little bit below the lows, just see where it goes as a morning scalper trade. Right, Qs getting pretty deep into that bottoming tail bar, and we had pretty nice discussion about this yesterday in the green room, whereas Dan was actually speaking, and you see everything else going down, and the Qs were kind of hanging there tough. Microsoft and Apple and Facebook start ripping up, and it was just like, could this be real? The way the market started to go down, and you just don't know, just the way they came out of the blocks and going up, but you knew it was weird. And, I made the comment, and not that I know, but I just made the comment. My thought was, here are leftover buys from, Friday that didn't get filled. And the market makers, brokers, they're just filling them, because that's what the money's been running after. And then they just fell apart. And when they fell apart, the Qs just dropped like a tank. And, as they come down here, this is where I took a position in the NQs for several reasons. It got climactic. It broke those lows. And you think, oh, that's not good. It's breaking through support. And that's exactly where historically they begin to turn. And so once it did that, scroll back, it just formed a classic type of a pattern. I can get enough of it on here. And actually, it was on the 2-minute. I was looking at the 5-minute. This is this bottoming pattern here as it began to pivot. And actually, I did the Russell futures before that and sat through a breakdown to new lows on the day. But I kind of had that into my game plan that would happen. And then it reversed back up with a vengeance and led the way up. But I just want to show you this pattern here because it's a classic one. There's a lot of patterns from the 90s that still play out, but there are some strategies that just don't work anymore. Where am I here? 16. Here we go. I explain this in the green room. This is, it's a really simple interpretation of price action. So here it's getting climactic and it's coming down here. And you get a range expansion bottoming tail bar. That's, buying the dip. That doesn't mean it's over. And it comes down here and it pivots again and it pivots again. It's building support and you get a wide range bar up. And then as it pulls back, it's shallow. And this one was a tell, so to speak, where it spiked down and came right back up again. And as I said, this bar was forming right about there. And I said, I'm buying it. And I did not hold it all day long. I told everybody, all right, my stomach's starting to grumble and got out around here. But would have been nice, because, the monster move that it had. And so be it. Lunch is lunch. So here we're getting a breakdown to new lows. There's nothing to the left here. Let's go back to the 15-minute. So this is kind of leading here. There's a little congestion, maybe 15,000 if it. So there's slowing momentum happening here. You see the breakdown here at the converging moving averages, and as it broke down from those pivots, wide range bar. Now momentum is slowing. How do I know that? The distance between these lows are getting closer together. That's not a reason to buy. Right? Momentum can pick up again. And so I think 15,000 could be being a whole number. Maybe it comes down there. There's this little cluster right there to look for similar type of bottoming patterns. See if they set up and if things can turn back around. The Russell, pretty wild price action. Last week we spoke about this sell setup that was beginning to form in the middle of the range, and this upward sloping wedge, whatever you're going to call it. But, reversal patterns, bottoming tail bars after breaking the low, thought it could go up here. That didn't happen. Now it's coming down to these pivots. And I'll tell you, watch for this. Look, with all the stuff we can talk about as to technical analysis, in reality, once we see that pattern that we know is a buy setup, like what I showed you, we don't know what's going to happen next. We know the probability is what's going to happen. And that's why we use bar by bar analysis and continuing trend analysis. But what I want to point out here is this is shown so often in the media, on websites, and you wonder, well, why didn't they start here and do this, to draw their supposed support line and trend line, whatever line, that violated the trend. How did it possibly go back up if it broke the uptrend line? I went through this, I don't know, drove me crazy, probably driving you crazy, right? Now, here's another one, and it's breaking the line. Okay, it's going to come down here. Maybe it does. But it very well may stop right here because that's the support, not this line, not any line. It's what's to the left. These diagonal lines are pretty much meaningless, right? And you project them into the future like they mean something. They truly don't. And so when you start the understanding that the analysis is done by looking to the left, not by applying diagonal lines, light bulb moments go on. And so if we should see this beginning to turn here and turn up tomorrow, what I'm telling you will really take hold, because you've heard something, the theory, and then you've seen it actually happen. If it goes down here, it's just not enough buyers showed up. And maybe it does need to come down here, but it's not about these lines. And the more you study it, the more you will believe what I'm telling you is a fact, even though you'll see it on CNBC day in and day out. Only on the monthly. Hey, Stephen. Well, if you only use it on the monthly chart, it's going to take longer for you to find out that I'm right. And the lines are not necessary to use, because once you understand how to do trend analysis the way we explain it here, and understand that trend lines are meaningless because you cannot project support and resistance by connecting dots, right? These pivots are created with money. Trend lines are created by you connecting dots on a line. And by projecting them diagonally doesn't mean that that is what the trend is at all. You're in a good support group. Okay, well, I guess, I'll be a little facetious. I hope that support group has a lot of tissues, because trend lines will come with a lot of false breakouts and breakdowns and unnecessary losses and, not so light bulb moments, more frustration moments. Anyway, Dow, similar thing going on here. And one of our discussions yesterday was, Dan and I were looking at different patterns, and we were both in agreement that, look, this is a great reversal day, but almost every one of these patterns, we felt that they need one more day. And it doesn't matter if it's a down day, as long as the next day turns around. So we'll see how that plays out. Bitcoin is up again, but just chopping around. We pointed out this resistance area, the 50,000 level, and it's just resting here for now. We got a wide range bar. Rather not see a close below it. Sideways is good. Oil, lots of red here today. Oil drifting back down to what is creating a range. Gold, coming into what should set up as a sell setup here. And that was the climactic move down. And it's rallying up into this resistance area. The hourly is still in an uptrend, so it's not time, like based on this time frame. So some sideways price action to create some distance away from these pivots and then start to roll over could make a nice move lower. So we'll see if that plays out. The beginnings of turns tend to be very difficult, right? And meaning you don't get it doesn't start to trend right away, because buyers aren't ready to give up yet, because they don't have any reason to give up yet. They haven't seen any kind of significant failure. Those on a 5-minute, they start seeing things roll over, and so the deterioration starts in a lower time frame and then evolves into higher time frames. So where you can see it's begun on the 15 as well, it's down to major support, and the hourly is now having a first deep retracement over here. You can see here, this created support, run up, created support, run up, now a deep retracement. So signs of weakness through multiple time frames, but it's not ready to trend lower yet. So that's in development mode. Silver lagged gold, but it came down real hard, and it's down near support. I'm not sure what that's going to do. Take a peek at the euro for a moment. Back down again, pretty whippy. It's in a significant support area here. So keeping an eye on this. I got some alerts set to see which way it might go. And interest rates kind of reversal here. That's a good sign for the market. You know, we talked about this being a bottoming pattern. And what's the transports and turned it over to Dan. I lost track of time here. Really nice correction bar. It's a bottoming pattern. If this had cleared this significantly, it would be a long, but and it might be. Let's just see the weekly shaping up here. So the thought from yesterday of SPX and those option open interest, huge open interest up around 7,500 is not, that thought isn't gone yet. We need to see how today, even if today turns red or ends red, tomorrow is going to be the pivotal day. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. Yeah, yesterday was wild intraday, that's for sure. Let's see. So I see a lot of red on the screen here. Amazon got whacked yesterday, down 24 here. It was a nice bottoming tail. And even though it's down 24, it's actually retracement. It's only like a third. So tomorrow we're going to be talking about retracement levels and patterns and turns and all that, but 40% or less from here to here, if we're going to look for something bullish, is what we're looking for. Cat was on our list yesterday. Buy setup here still looks fine over yesterday's high. Home Depot is in the news today. Earnings 325. It's gapping under a lot of support. It's a big gap. Yeah, I really have no idea what that's going to do. So always look at the cousin low, gapping down with it. Ugly gap here under 188. Walmart had earnings, had a bearish gap, but then it got negated. But you know, things that run into earnings like that, I really don't have any interest on the bullish side. I'd rather be selling strength if it gapped up. Thomas asking about Kroger and her. Yeah, I think Thomas, you asked about it yesterday, or you emailed me, and I pulled it up and I said, yeah, it looked good. I think I emailed you yesterday saying 15-minute high. It still looks higher. Food, grocery store. Hershey, yes, is on our list too from yesterday. Yep, nice breakout. Multi-week consolidation, downside shakeout. WSM is on our list here. Nice 180 reversal. Mondelez, KBH. Yeah, I was watching KBH and Toll, but it's gapping down now, so there's no pattern. There's Toll had a better close. Mondelez, I have no idea what you're looking at there. There's no pattern at all on Mondelez. JR saying UPST, I have a bear call credit spread. Where would I add to create a condor? Okay, so if you have a call spread now, I'm not even thinking about legging into a condor, because it's not, we only leg into condors when the pattern suggests it. This one I would just keep as a call spread alone, and into weakness you should, depending on where you got in, you should have a nice open profit. Other gappers here. Globe was gapping up and now it's Slam back down. We'll come back to it. That's a little clean, whatever. That's a nasty gap. Wow. It looks lower, but no pattern. I mean, we don't short things down 5 red bars and then get, gap and doom. Futu gapping down. Also, look at that. It's been weak. Now, see, many people try to buy down here, saying, "Oh, look, I'm getting it cheap. It's at the 200." And we have our MT live in the past about, well, you need a turn, because otherwise, how do you know it's not a consolidation and a downtrend? And that's exactly what happened. It's in a downtrend, declining 20, 50. Every attempt to break out here got slammed. I don't know if that runs with the K-Web, but same with this. In the green room, there's been people trying to buy this, and for day trades, this was a Bull Island reversal. Had a little small reversal here, but look at the bigger pattern. Daily, weekly. And, this is obviously the Chinese internet stuff. Look at that. I think I said way back here. I think I said this thing has a lot of room to fall. Wow. Next pit stop down here at 40. China, wow, China did a number on their, it's American listed stocks. HQY. This one, I don't know, might set up a little gap and snap day trade just because it's down 8 bars, biggest red bar on volume. Now you're gapping down a couple of dollars. I'm going to put it on my other computer. I'll watch this. HQY. I don't know if that was earnings or what. BHP, it's an ADR, but wow, that's an ugly gap. Look at that, 70.48. Look at that, gapping right to the 200. I'm not saying to do anything. Yeah, this is an ugly gap right now. So I am doing nothing, just eyeballing it. See how spiders is almost 80% gap into the real body. I mean, into yesterday's range. So that's bearish. IWM is under yesterday's low. That looks like it's headed to the 200. Looks horrible. Sell setup on the weekly. Now, I remember when we did MT Live, Greg, a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about topping patterns. I had a slide on this one. Is IWM a topping pattern? This gap reversal put it back into a trading range. So we don't know, but sell setup right there at 20, relative weakness. I don't know.